South Africa's past of colonization, slavery and apartheid still echoes in the inequality of today, making true transformation a pressing need. But imagine a South Africa where we find language to articulate and address these wounds so we can heal, and where a diverse group of people and communities come together to learn from each other, collaborate and build trust to realize an alternate future where access to dignity translates into equity and justice, not as an ideal, but a lived reality for all. For decades, we have witnessed the devastation of our planet, not only through historic injustices and compromise of our social fabric, but in the concurrent destruction of our natural ecosystems too, which have affected the poorest communities the most. As climate change intensifies, the global push for a just energy transition has placed renewable energy at the forefront, not just as an environmental solution, but as a pathway to enable these communities to survive and thrive. South Africa's response to this call is the REIPP, a bold and visionary program that links energy production with socio-economic development. What makes REIPP unique is its socio-economic development framework and community ownership model. Communities are not only recipients of development projects, they are shareholders in the power plants. But greater collaboration is key to achieving the full potential of renewable energy in South Africa, beyond meeting the REIPPP office requirements.
The opportunity with REIPP is to go beyond compliance and to be intentionally transformative.
The construction phase of an REIPPP project within REIPP stimulates local economies through its demand for various types of goods and services, work and skills. This phase results in substantial temporary job creation and opportunities for regional businesses. When the plant plugs into Eskom and moves into the operations phase, it generates revenue in return for the power produced. A percentage of this income is allocated to socio-economic and enterprise development, or SED and ED spend on community projects. When the plant starts turning an annual profit and when the project company declares and distributes dividends, the community trust also receives its share. From the share, the community trust needs to service the debt associated with its shareholder loan, the loan that facilitated its purchase of shareholding in the plant. The balance of these dividends can then be used to build local capacity, create opportunities and invest in community development projects. Yet making this model work in practice is complex. While community trusts often struggle to agree on how to manage their funding, which programs to implement, how to ensure governance and build trustee capacity in meaningful ways, REIPPPs also often struggle to channel their SED and ED funds appropriately to ensure tangible benefit to their communities.
When you impose projects within communities that don't address community needs, you sort of miss the mandate of what the trust is supposed to be doing.
It's best to consult, because when you do that, the resource that you bring to the community, we make sure, and the community makes sure that it keeps it safe, it uses the resource, because it's something that they needed, it's something that they asked for.
Community ownership should mean community owning their future and communities owning those decisions.
How do we make sure that communities are no longer a stakeholder to be engaged, but a stakeholder that's intrinsically part of the decision-making of how we design this organization, how it will function, what value it delivers, to who and how that happens.
I think we really underestimate just how much woundedness, interpersonal conflict, difficult relationship slows down our capacity to deliver even our best intentions.
I think a lot of us as practitioners find ourselves in institutions and organizations and in spaces where we are figuring it out as we go. And there isn't a space where we can learn and know how to do it. There isn't like a proven model where somebody can just give you the template on how to do this in your community, and plus the complexity of the fact that all communities are quite different.
They need the support, they need an organization that holds them, that holds the collaboration and brings them together.
Inspire, the Initiative for Social Performance in Renewable Energy, is an NGO founded on over a decade of work in the ecosystem that has emerged around REIPP. Made up of industry practitioners, academics and government champions, Inspire's focus is to maximize the socio-economic impact that REIPP and the implementation of large-scale renewables can have as part of our energy transition. Inspire strengthens collaboration, builds capacity, and helps communities unlock the full value of their ownership.
Inspire has provided a very unique and critical platform to bridge gaps in community trust governance and capacity.
Through funding from the IDC, Inspire's Trust Matters program creates a framework for thinking about how best to optimize the value that trust can bring to communities.
We've tried to make sure that the voice of community trustees themselves have featured very strongly in how we design this program.
What are the experiences of community trusts to date? What is going really well? What might be missing to really ensure that community shareholding is meaningful? And what we've come up with is a trust maturity framework that addresses not only the regulations of trusts, but looks at governance, looks at capacity, looks at vision and strategy, and looks at impactful delivery. So it's actually a multifaceted approach that we need to take to be able to develop community trusts.
In the spirit of learning, collaboration, and partnership, Inspire is exchanging learnings and seeking ideas from communities and practitioners around the world. A process of building a shared global vision for community ownership.
The whole purpose of the trust and the mandate of the trust is to make sure that our communities are sustainable beyond the life of mines. So when the mines start closing, we need to make sure that families have alternative income streams. Understanding that community ownership means exactly that. They own the trust.
We have come up with an idea called the Community Equity Opportunity Fund, and it is meant to support the community equity position across the life cycle of a project. We should stop thinking that communities don't have business projects or business ideas. They do. It's about coming to them and asking, what is it that they want to do in their lands?
It really is a guardianship role that we play to ensure that our trust will continue on in perpetuity. The process of understanding community need, the understanding of the dreams and aspirations of community, and answering those dreams. Prior to colonisation, Māori were thriving. They were traders, they were market gardeners, and so there's a sense of what it was prior to white men coming. We have to acknowledge that past, and that past is still hurting today. So if you could imagine if Māori never lost their land, what would they look like today? And when they lose land, they lose so much. Because you remember what was happening in New Zealand was not an isolated case, it was happening worldwide.
Though we cannot rewrite the historic injustices of humanity's past, the deep wounds borne by our ancestors and consequences that subsequent generations bear to this day, we do have an opportunity to play a part in writing a new story for generations to come. So today, let's imagine a South Africa where a strengthened and networked ecosystem in the renewable energy sector leads the charge and harnesses the energy of tomorrow to build a just, dignified, and equitable future for all.